Yeah, got it.
Yeah, so the recording is now in progress. Hare Krishna. So we're recording on the cloud. I'll have to work out how to get it from the
And
cloud.
you bring it down from the clouds.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome. Hare Krishna, everyone. There's 3 people in the waiting room. Oh, I've just pressed, better let them in, admit all. Yes. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's offer our pranam mantras unto Srila Prabhupada before we begin. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Bhastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachaline Nivasisha Sunyavadi Pashtatara Satarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna. We are on, for those of you who have the book, which is not so many of you, but a couple of you do, I think. We're on page 485. And we're just coming to the end of a chapter. And we've been reading and discussing a very interesting subject about attentive and inattentive sadhana. So we're just finishing this chapter. Next chapter is going to be attentive bhajan. So that goes into it a little bit more, but specifically in regards to the different levels of absorption in the holy name, as far as I can remember. So that's always a very interesting subject. Being as we spend a lot of time with the holy name, we're all chanting. So it's a very important thing in our lives. So, okay, so Chandravali, maybe you have your hand up there. You can read. So we're reading from the page 485 and in the ways mentioned above.
Okay. In the ways mentioned above, the inattentive devotee gradually overcomes his bad habit, be it caused by indifference, laziness, or distraction. The result of such a victory is that the sadhaka relishes the taste of pure devotion as being infinitely more attractive than the allure of sense gratification. And in time, he begins to detest even the thoughts of Maya's appeal, as the great Yamuna Acharya wrote. Since I have been engaged in transcendental loving service of Krishna, realizing even new pleasures in him, whenever I think of sex pleasure, I spit at the thought and my lips curl with distaste at the thought. Such wonderful transformation takes place when the offenseless vibration of Krishna's name enters the devotee's ears and fills his mind with waves of nectar, flushing out all mundane thoughts and saturating it with thoughts of Krishna. In such a state of Krishna consciousness, the devotee again chants in an attentive mood, spontaneously relishing the joyous and peaceful paths of taste and attachment that leads to the kingdom of Bhav. We should add that without the mercy of the Lord, single-handed effort at chanting will not bear the fruits of attentiveness. To attain that mercy, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends that a sadhaka should practice the fourfold path of humility, which we have already discussed. Therefore, while cultivating attentiveness in the way that corresponds to his weakness, a devotee must continually pray to the Lord for shelter and beg the holy name for forgiveness. In the preceding section, we have understood the fault of inattentive chanting and offered remedies for the three ways such offense manifest. However, this chapter is about attentiveness. If from the beginning of his devotion a practitioner recognizes the secret of spiritual advancement, he will remain enthusiastic and alert to wandering off the slightest glimmer of apathy, laziness, or distraction. A wise sadhaka knows that if he falls into the snare of inattentive nam sankirtan, even if he is free of other offenses, inattention will continue to frustrate any sankalpa that he undertakes. In this regard, therefore, it is better for a sadhaka to be proactive than to suffer the painful consequences of recapturing lost enthusiasm and rebuilding the eroded foundation of his spiritual life. Therefore, a practicing devotee inscribes the Vaishnava's motto in his heart, and morning, noon, and night he quietly worships Sadhu Savadhana, Sadhu Savadhana, Sadhu Savadhana. Oh, Sadhu, always remain attentive, always remain attentive.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you. So that ends that chapter. Sadhu Sadhu. Let's read that again. Sadhu Savadhana, Sadhu Savadhana. Yeah. Any closing comments or reflections on this chapter? We can go straight into the next chapter, which is more, yeah, which is on Attentive Bhajan. Yeah. So it's something. Yeah, it's just this is one of the kind of internal progressions that we should experience in our spiritual life. Like we should be experiencing being more attentive, basically, or we should be experiencing, hopefully, and I suppose is what Marge explained here, especially when it comes to the platform of taste and attachment. Yeah, these are different levels of different achievements that we hope to achieve in our spiritual practice. Yeah, so Marge is mapping out here and it's given us like a map so we can identify where we are and where we want to go. So we can all have an honest reflection and see where we are and see where we want to go. If we have been habitually inattentive, it's going to take some time to recover from that, as Marge was explaining. Better we get the message as soon as possible, you know. And Sadhu Savadhana, Sadhu Savadhana. Yeah. Sorry, Mother Chandula, I cut you off there, I think.
No, it's okay. It's good.
Okay.
I like the way Maharaj has put in here, in that paragraph, the inattentive devotee gradually overcomes his bad habits, be it caused by indifference, laziness, or distraction. The result of such victory is that sadhaka relishes the taste of pure devotion as being infinitely more attractive than the allure of sense gratification. So if we keep practicing, eventually we will get there.
For sure. Definitely.
I like what he says. You know, it's like positive.
But Marge is highlighting the details and the mindset that's needed for us to actually get there. I'm sure the main thrust of these readings that we're doing are what Marge points out, that we have to apply ourselves very seriously to the process. So it's not going to happen automatically unless we apply ourselves very seriously. But yeah, for sure, that's what's promised to us. And devotees who have trodden a path before us have reached these platforms, you know, of, for instance, of taste and attachment. Welcome, Madhumango Puru. Yes.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna. Thank
I
you
will
for
be around here. I will listen.
Yeah, and Marge also spoke about a very interesting point as well, which we have covered, but he highlights it again, about the importance of humility, the fourfold path of humility. Anyone know what is meant by the fourfold path of humility?
Is that the slok?
That's the sloka, yeah.
Nada pisuni tena tarur pisahich.
Vishishna
Namane.
Manina Manadina Kitana Sada Hari. Once to chant the holy name, Lord, in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street, more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to
Respect.
offer respects to others without wanting respect in return. So the fourfold path of humility. Yeah. Okay, let's get into chapter 26. Attentive Bhajan. Okay, Kunamai, you'd like to take us into chapter 26?
The latter part of the previous chapter explored the consequences of inattention during Nam Sankirtan, the result of which is anything but a pretty picture of robust sadhana. Considering the challenges Kali Yuga already poses for average sadhaka, devotees are better off not creating additional problems for themselves by ignoring their very means of salvation. Better that they take the trouble-free path to perfection and carefully cultivate attentiveness in Nam Sankirtan and other limbs of sadhana. The following chapters are meant to assist the thoughtful sadhaka in cultivating attentiveness, especially in the more advanced stages of Nam Sankirtan, which scriptures consider to be the very essence of Bhakti Yoga. We shall see that such cultivation by stages is what lies at the very heart of sadhana sankalpa. And a devotee who is adept in his spiritual science reaches bhav much faster than the one who is not. Learned transcendentalists say that attentiveness makes the transition through sankalpa smooth and their results prompt. We can take lessons from the example of little Prahlad when he was brought forward to specify Lord Nrsimhadev, ushered before the Lord by the fearful demigods. He became very attentive, and with a mind fixed on his mission, he began to offer prayers to the Lord. In the commentary to this pastime, Srila Prabhupada writes, the ability to fix the mind in this way is a result of yoga siddhi, mystic perfection. It takes practice to attain the kind of samadhi from which Prahlad could fulfill his sankalp of glorifying the Lord with prayers. And from this young devotee, we have an example of how attentiveness facilitates determinations. Another example is Lord Shiva instructing the preceptors. The prefacing their initiation, the Lord emphasized the connection between attentiveness and the speed of attaining the goal. He was considered that the brothers not falter in their determination to chant their Diksha mantra. Their foremost amongst Vaishnavas said, a devotee of the Lord, Lord Krishna, whose mind is always absorbed in him, who with great attention and reverence chants his sotra prayer, will achieve the greatest perfection of life without delay. The phrase, Archi Shreya Apnoti translates as achieve auspiciousness very soon. The word Arshina means very soon, and it is also found in the well-known verse beginning with Rikiditam Vraj Vadu Abir Idam Cha Vishnu. Both these verses indicate that attentiveness yields quick results. This productive sadhana stands in the stark contrast to what we have already explained, which is that inattentive chanting yields agonizingly slow results. Indeed, the eventual result of inattentive bhakti is never bhav. Rather, the best effect of offensive chanting is that it gradually brings sobriety to the sadhaka, and sobriety in turn gradually inspires him to control his mind and make his sadhana attentive. As for the worst effect, Kaviraj Goswami warns his readers that the snail pace of careless chanting could span many lifetimes, Bahu Janma. Knowing the outcome of negligent sadhana, what intelligent devotee would want to risk protracting his already beginningless hardships in the material world? Better to cultivate attentiveness, conscientious chanting with the assurance that the treasure of Bhava Bhakti is close at hand. Let us now move forward to attentiveness in progressive sadhana. The importance of one-pointed attention to the holy names really comes to the fore when devotees advance to the stage of remembrance, smaran, which scriptures praise as being the very essence of bhakti. Padma Purana says, Krishna is the origin of Lord Vishnu. He should always be remembered and never forgotten at any time. All the rules and prohibitions mentioned in the Sastras should be servants of these two principles. The purpose of attentiveness is to enable us to remember Krishna in the way that we now remember so many things unrelated to him, spontaneously. The goal is lolyam, greed for Krishna. In its absence, a devotee must learn to remember Krishna, and learning remembrance is a science, as the following pages will reveal.
Okay, thank you, Mav Kunamai. Let's just pause
Thank
there.
you.
So, Maharaj, this is more or less an introduction. He's given us a summary of what's been spoken about. And amazingly, we went into quite a lot of detail in the last chapter. But now Maharaj is going to open it up here and speak about it specifically in context with chanting the holy name of the Lord. Yep. And the different levels of smarana. So very interesting. Any questions or comments or reflections? Yes, it's just a summary. So I like this part as well. Knowing the outcome of negligent sadhana, what intelligent devotee would want to risk protracting his already beginningless hardships in the material world? Better to cultivate attentive, conscientious chanting with the assurance that the treasure of Bhava Bhakti is close at hand. Yeah. So be warned. So let's be forewarned. So with interest, let's get into this chapter.
I love what Maharaj is saying that, you know, how we spontaneously remember unrelated things to Krishna at present, right?
Yes.
So there be time when we should spontaneously remember Krishna in everything.
Yes.
Living in the material world.
Yeah, that's called also another name for that is a Shakti, where you from seamlessly, effortlessly from you, memories just flow to your mind naturally. So another word for spontaneous, interesting, is natural. It becomes natural for you. But as Chandraval is saying, yeah, natural for us to remember the different, to remember the different activities we perform that others have performed in this material world, like we are spontaneously attracted. And there's a prayer that's described that you may have heard it, where I think it's Yamunujacharya. Well, Maharaj quoted a verse by him, Yad Avadi Mama Krishna Chaita Padavinde. But also, as a young boy is attracted to a young girl and vice versa, please, my dear Lord, let me be attracted to you. So natural, natural attraction. Yes, a Shakti. Yeah. So that takes mercy, that takes cleansing. Yeah. Because for it to become spontaneous and natural, we have to do some cleaning. Yeah. And that's called the clearing stage. We have to do some cleaning, and then from the purity of our heart, then we will be naturally attracted to Krishna. Yeah. And these things don't happen overnight. It's not like switching a switch. Unfortunately, for some it may be. It's just like if we get sick or we get diseased, then if we go to the doctor, then a doctor's not going to wave a magic wand and cure us during the meeting with the doctor. No, he's going to give us a regime, perhaps a change of diet. He's going to give us a course of medicine. So as much as we may like sometimes to be cured straight away, it's not going to happen like that. It's going to take time. And to that degree, we're attentive, then to that degree, we can get purified quicker. It's the same, isn't it? If you think about it, if you go to a doctor and you're not attentive to what he says, if it's a good doctor, if it's a bad doctor, then you might deliberately not do what he says. But if you trust a doctor and you attentively follow the regime which he's given, then your cure will be quicker. So, same.
Murli Prabhu,
Hare Krishna, Suniti Priya.
Krishna, yeah. The thing is that as we are practicing, it is helping us to remember him all the time as we're doing our shopping or other things, what we're doing, try to chant all the time, you know. So that process as well help us, doesn't it, to advance in our Krishna consciousness?
Of course, yes. Of course. That's yeah, that's how we come to the natural stage, because for us as conditioned souls, we follow the prescription in that we've been told that we should think of Krishna. So therefore we decide to think of Krishna. Why? Because we've been told it's good to do it. That's called sadhana bhakti. Now, a shakti or spontaneous is when it just happens. It's just natural. Yeah. But that natural will come if we practice. That's the point. If we practice, oh, I have to think of Krishna all day. I have to think of Krishna when I'm shopping. Let me think of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You know, we are doing it because we've been instructed to. You know?
Or we can just think when we go to the shop, but look, we need to buy this thing for Krishna. We need to buy vegetables for Krishna. What Krishna would like, and so on.
Yes. That's it.
Dude, if I buy these trousers, Krishna will like these trousers on me, or maybe it's not good, maybe, and so on, I think.
So
yes, that's so good.
Madhumangala Prabhu, did you ask Krishna, does he like it? Show him and he'll say, yes, Madhumangala, it's lovely trouser, you take it.
No, but if you buy some extravagant trousers or some very strange trousers, which are not going to appeal and just going to attract attention towards you, then maybe it's not good.
Anyway, whatever it may be, throughout the day, these are all different skills, all different things we can do to be Krishna conscious when we're shopping. Madhumangala is good.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
All right. Mother Sharada, yes, please, on the iPad. Yes. Are you there? Oh, this happened last time, didn't it, with Mother Sharada? Something's happening, Mother Sharada, when you ask and I reply, then you go on mute, I think.
Yeah, my mute works.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
We can hear you now.
Yeah, I just want to say that if we remember chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita, there's
Yes.
so many instructions are given by Krishna, like taste of waters, sunshine, and all those things. Then we can think of Krishna that way as well, because all the
Yeah.
vibhutis are described.
Yeah, that particular verse, so Rasaham Kuntaya, that comes in the 7th or 9th chapter. But yes, the 10th chapter is called the opulence of the absolute.
Yeah,
So
that's what I meant.
Yeah, therefore describe of immovable things, I am the Himalayas.
Yeah,
mentioned.
trees.
Of bodies of water, I am the ocean, etc.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Okay, hope you don't mind, but I'm going to have a read here. Page 491. Here, just down a little bit. Commenting on Prahlad Maharaj's qualification to offer prayers to the Lord, Srila Prabhupada further writes. If anyone else would like to read, you can put your hand up. He's, quote, his mind and attention became saturated in transcendence, unquote. Sri Prahlad's level of attention is known as samadhi. In his purport, His Divine Grace goes on to explain that the degree of attentiveness that the devotee is able to muster is dependent upon the purity of that devotee's heart. I was just mentioning that, wasn't it? Yeah. Prahlad's heart was pure, and so his one-pointedness carried him through the last stage of smarana. The lesson to be learned is that a sadhaka's attentiveness depends upon his level of spiritual advancement. There is a proportionate relationship between the two. So that's why we can't concentrate at the stage as of samadhi, because we're not purified enough. So to be with Krishna, you have to be purified. So let's read on. The step-by-step exertion for the goal of bhava requires incrementally greater and greater attentiveness, so greater and greater attentiveness, which in turn rewards the sadhaka with a deeper and longer connection with the transcendental vibration of the Maha Mantra. The composite result is an increasingly purified heart, enabling the devotee to climb the stairway of smaranam, leading to bhava, the stairway to heaven. Hare Krishna. Thus we see that attentiveness enables purity, and purity enables further attentiveness. These two are intrinsically related. All right, very interesting. Yeah, Marge is kind of just was explaining that. Marge is explaining it very nicely here. I'll read that sentence again. Thus we see that that attentiveness creates purity, and purity creates further attentiveness. Yeah, so they're interrelated. So the more purified we are, then the more attentive we can be. And the more attentive we are, then the more purified we can be. And vice versa. The less attentive we are, the less purified we will be. It's as simple as that. You know? Krishna reassures his devotee that progress through stages of devotion, when overseen by an attentive mind, are always effective. I'll just read the translation. Quote, one who has executed sacrificial performances and pious works for my satisfaction, and who thus worships me with fixed attention, obtains unflinching devotional service unto me. By the excellent quality of his service, such a worshipper obtains realized knowledge of me. Unquote. Followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu know well that the attentive sacrificial performances of which Krishna speaks are twofold. One is the practice of bhakti, and the other is its dispensation. So dispensation, as far as I know, that means to give or to dispense. I think so. It's another word for preaching, as far as I understand. Anyone know what this word means? Dispensation. I'm pretty sure it means to dispense or to give out. So to practice bhakti and to give bhakti or preach. Yeah. According to the Lord's teaching and example, the healthy balance of the two enables the rare attainment of bhava bhakti. Attentiveness in the dispensation of bhakti means attentiveness in Sankirtan Yagna. Devotees who have participated in book distribution, street chanting, or prashadam distribution know well that steadiness in these services requires concentration of mind, without which a practitioner cannot undergo the austerity involved. Thus, attentiveness in Sankirtan is as important as attentiveness in Bhajan, or your chanting. Yeah. Indeed, it is the same control mind that makes both successful. And so one may ask, how is such attentiveness accomplished? The Lord answers, by constant effort. So some of you are doing different services. A lot of you are cooking for the Lord, or doing different pujaari services, maybe, and some other services we're doing. So the same applies there, you know. I always say that sometimes devotees forget to put salt in the sabji, or they double salt it, or they leave a salad in the fridge for Raj Bhoga. That's a common one. Forget the salad. Yeah. So it means we've been inattentive at some point. So it's an offense to be inattentive while cooking the Raj Bhoga. Whatever. Yeah, it's offensive to be inattentive in any service. So, yeah. Let me just read up to the 4 asterisks, and then we'll open up for any comments or thoughts on this very interesting few paragraphs. In the same accessible and straightforward language with which he solves the problem of mind control, a few verses later, Krishna lays out the sadhana for attaining attentiveness. Quote, from wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under control of the self. Thus we hear that attentiveness is achieved by constant effort in bringing the unruly mind to heel. In Lord Chaitanya's movement, that effort means engaging the mind and senses in the purifying process of bhakti, both in sadhana and in Sankirtan. When the mind is progressively absorbed in these services, it is purified. And purification, it empowers progress, which in turn enables greater levels of attentiveness. With increased attentiveness, the degree of purification also increases, and the horizons of Krishna consciousness expand without limit. Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Any questions or comments on that?
I was discussing something with one devotee, and you know, like a negative thought will come in your head. Before, it would stay longer and you might contemplate on it. But as you make progress, the thought is quickly changed to positive, quicker than what it was doing before.
Yeah, that's a good observation.
I just
Shava
like-
devotees, hopefully we can experience that, where perhaps a few years ago when we first took up Krishna consciousness, something would disturb our mind and really disturb us, perhaps for a day, a week, and disturb us each time we try and chant japa. Yeah. But as we progress in Krishna consciousness, I think we're able to see it for what it really is, to be not worth sacrificing our Krishna consciousness for. I think we could summarize it like that, isn't it? What Mother Chandravali is saying. This specific issue or this specific thing is not worth sacrificing my japa for. So therefore, let me see in see it in the context for what it really is, which is quite small in comparison to Krishna consciousness. Anyway, yeah, did that sound okay, Mother Chandravali? Is that what you're trying to explain?
Yeah, I was just, like you can see the progress you're making in a way. Like you said, going back a few years ago, and now you kind of thoughts will come, but they just disappear so quickly as they come. With
Yeah.
Thinking.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? We need some readers out there.
You got two there, Anupma and Kumari Priya.
Okay, I can't see the hands. That's my problem. Let me put. Oh yeah, I can now. So, Kumari Priya, you like to read? We're on
493.
is she there? Yeah. Hare Krishna, Mother.
Hare Krishna. I think another Mataji was first. I'm not sure.
Oh, you go ahead. It's okay. No problem. We shall. You can read a couple of pages, then we'll call on Anupama.
Okay. Let us now look into how attention develops in stages to one-pointed attention, ekagrata, the kind of attention that fully absorbs a devotee in thoughts of Krishna. When a devotee is cultivating attentiveness in sadhana, then attentiveness becomes part of a primary limb of bhakti, smarana. As a sadhaka systematically develops remembrance of Krishna, attentiveness becomes one of the indicators of how he is progressing in Krishna consciousness. It should be made clear what attentiveness is the tatashta lakshana of smarana, and the purification of the heart is the svarupa lakshana. By attentive chanting, a sadhaka's heart is cleansed and he systematically moves forward to the goal of bhakti, not looking back at the sense enjoyment he left behind. Shukadev Goswami describes progressive Nam Sankirtana in this way. Therefore, one who desires freedom from material bondage should adopt a process of chanting and glorifying the name, fame, form, and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At those feet, all the holy places stand. One cannot derive the proper benefit from other methods such as pious atonement, speculative knowledge, and meditation and mystic yoga, because even after following such methods, one takes to fruitive activities again, unable to control his mind, which is contaminated by the base qualities of nature, namely passion and ignorance. Purposeful sadhana is also known as bhajana. The stage of devotional service is a mature cultivation in which a sadhaka is keenly aware of a distant separation from his bhava, separating him from bhava, and so he shoulders a systematic and proactive effort to attain his goal. If he is not yet free from offenses, such a sadhaka will soon become so, after which he enters the stage of clearing unwanted things and a spiritually rewarding stage of pure chanting. A serious practitioner sees all aspects of his Krishna conscious life, be it chanting Hare Krishna or honoring prasada, as means to his goal. That said, all limbs of devotion must be accompanied and enhanced by Nam Sankirtana. Because chanting Hare Krishna is a life of devotional service, our acharyas evaluate systematic advancement in bhakti by a devotee's proficiency and purity in Nam Sankirtana. Following the lead of our predecessors, we shall focus our study of attentive determinations in smarana, as they manifest in sadhaka's competence in chanting Krishna's divine names. We now take opportunity to re-emphasize what the nature of the smarana of a true Gaudiya Vaishnavas is neither the remembrance practiced by yogis nor what proposed by pseudo-Vaishnavas. Rather, its remembrance inspired and empowered by Nam Sankirtana. The better a devotee's kirtana, the better his remembrance of Krishna and all things related to him. We request the reader to keep in mind this important truth. It has been explained previously, but there are two kinds of sadhakas. The devotees practice in regulated devotion and thus practice in spontaneous devotion. Both types of practitioners can ascend to bhava along their own preferred path. However, it should be understood that aside from a purely regulated and purely spontaneous devotees, there will be devotees whose devotion ranges over the blend of regulative and spontaneous. Jiva Goswami confirms that generally for sadhakas who have not attained attraction, namely ruchi, even the best Raganuga Bhakti is mixed with some elements of Vaidhi Bhakti. Thus we find that there is a spectrum of practitioners from the purely spontaneous at one end of a spectrum to the purely regulated at the other. However, for our purposes, we shall call the mainly regulated half of a spectrum regulated devotees and the other half spontaneous devotees.
Okay, we better just pause there. Any comments or questions on this?
Yeah, I'm asking, when one is
reflections.
moving from regulated bhakti to spontaneous, so he's going through that phase, so it's mixed in between, isn't it? Is that what it's saying? Yeah.
Yes, well, basically, yes. there is two paths to bhava. One is by strictly adhering to the process of sadhana. Then one then acquires the requisite purity of heart. And at some point, one, by the grace of Krishna, one will achieve bhava. And so in other words, that person may not specifically cultivate systematically remembrance of Krishna Leela Smaranam during their bhajan. They're just very attentive to the holy name, very attentive to the services, and they're praying for grace and mercy. That they're, they're following the, sometimes Maharaj describes it as often the, a can be a safe path, but the other, it's not like Raganuga Bhakti is not safe, but the other path is where one is actually at the stage of nishtha. It can be done before, but especially at the stage when one is fixed, one is specifically reading, one is specifically cultivating smaranam of Krishna and his pastimes, and the pastime and the residence of Vrindavan. So he's cultivating that. It's a sadhana. It's a sadhana. It's not a perfected stage. They are practicing by remembering Krishna and his pastimes. So there's either one or the other, and then there's a wide spectrum in between that Maharaj is explaining. Jiva Goswami confirms that generally for sadhakas who have not attained attraction, that's a Shakti, Ruchi, even the best Raganuga Bhakti is mixed with some elements of Vaidhi. So some aspects of their practice, they will have a natural attraction for. Other aspects of their practice, they will be doing out of duty. You understand? So not everything they have a natural attraction for. Some aspects of their practice, they will have a natural attraction for. Other aspects, they will be doing out of duty, as far as they understand. So Maharaj will explain this more. So for more detail, yeah. So okay, bit technical.
No, yes.
Follow.
But so one is not making an effort of remembering Krishna's pastimes and things like that. It will, in time, it will come automatically with your practice. Yes, that's how Maharaj explains it, and he explains this in this book. I think we're going to cover it after we have Bhagavatamrita. This book here, Maharaj explains that these different parts. So, but for most devotees, it's a mix. It's not just one or the other. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a mix, Okay. Okay, this is very interesting. We're going to be swimming in the deep end of bhakti now. We're going to be swimming in the deep end.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna, can
Yes.
I ask a little clarification, please?
Please,
it
yes.
says here, the better a devotee's kirtana, the better the remembrance of Krishna and all things related to him. So
Yeah.
there, kirtana would mean his sadhana and chanting and everything else, yes?
Specifically here, Maharaj is going to concentrate on japa, shmaranam.
On japa, yeah.
So he's going to give different, he's going to explain the systematic absorption, specifically in japa meditation.
Yeah.
Okay. But it can be applied to all services, all Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, any of these 9 angas of devotion.
Okay.
We want to be absorbed in it, and there's different degrees of being absorbed in these 9 angas of devotion.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. That's what I thought, but I thought I better check it with you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, let's check the time. Well, 48. Okay. Anupama, you had your hand up for reading, huh? You like to read?
Yes, I would like to. Can I do that?
You can do that, yes.
Okay, right. It has been explained previously that there are 2 kinds of sadhakas. The
Where are
devotees,
we? Where are we? Are we in the right place? Am I in the wrong place? Or
I thought that's the
495. Page
495, yeah. It has been explained, yeah?
I've
Or
no
is it
down
both,
a bit. No,
both types, yeah? Both types?
let us review.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
just go down there. Let us review
Okay.
the next paragraph.
Right, okay, thank you. Let
Yeah.
us review the characteristics of both the regulated and spontaneous devotees who journey to and attain ecstasy.
Sorry, ecstasy means bhava, okay? Whenever you see this word called ecstasy, it means a stage of bhava.
Yes, thank
Okay,
you.
carry on. Yeah.
The Vaidhi sadhana enters the domain of smarana and ascends in stages under the direction of revealed scriptures and his spiritual master. His object of worship is Krishna, the opulent supreme personality of Godhead, the cowherd prince, king of Dwarka and source of countless incarnations. During Nam Sankirtana, such a sadhaka generally meditates on the beautiful sound of the holy names, and his reading of scripture is not dedicated solely in the pastimes of Raj, but to
To the
all of
pastimes
Krishna's
of Raj, yeah.
pastimes. Yeah, but to all of Krishna's pastimes. Such a sadhaka's humble self-conception is that he is a spirit soul, an eternal servant of Krishna. He has no specific role model to follow, or if he does, it is not necessarily resident of Raj.
Okay, that's a very sorry, Kip. That's a clear. One second. That's a clear description of Vaidhi, of regulated practice. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, go on, carry on. Yeah.
An example of this kind of regulated bhajana is spoken of by the son of Vyas. Sorry, I've got next 2 pages. And perfection corresponds. Sorry. I've got the right page. Yes.
496.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I thought I had 2 pages. Yeah, sorry. I'll go back. 496. Sorry. O descendant of King Bharata, one who desires to be free from all miseries must hear about, glorify, and also remember the personality of Godhead, who is the super soul, the controller, and the savior from all miseries.
Yeah, so you can understand how this relates to what Madhu was explaining, because one's being instructed to remember the Lord. So in order to overcome the miseries, one is accepting the medicine of chanting and hearing about the Lord. They are not doing it specifically inspired by the resonance of Vrindavan, for example. You follow? So that's Vaidhi sadhana. Okay, carry on. Sorry for keep on interrupting, but
no, that's fine. That's fine.
Important that. Go on.
Sorry. Sorry. We qualify the above by reminding the reader that the description of the regulated devotee in a general is a general one. By the grace of holy names, any of the regulative qualities mentioned can be enhanced with degree of spontaneity. Let us now follow the characteristics of the Raganuga Sadhana in his bhajana.
So now he's going to give the other description of Raganuga Sadhana.
There are 2 kinds of Raganuga practitioner, those who have a level of natural attraction from a previous life and those who have acquired such attraction in their current life, generally at the stage of taste, ruchi. We write that raga generally appears at ruchi because it may arise at any stage of devotion. However, the majority of devotees who awaken to spontaneous devotion do so when their bhakti matures to ruchi. After all, raga and ruchi are in many ways synonymous. And because the majority of sadhakas develop raga in this life rather than at an earlier one, we shall be referring to them as our template for Raganuga sadhana.
Okay, so raga means attraction. Yeah, there is an attraction there. So that's Raganuga. Raganuga, the person, the sadhaka, he has specific attraction. Yeah, so raga means attraction. Yeah, carry on.
The spiritual impetus for this kind of devotion starts.
Devotee, for this kind of devotee.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, I need to put my light on. I thought I could see. Okay. The spiritual impetus for this kind of devotee starts in the way it does for any regulated practitioner. But by association with an advanced devotee, his inspiration for practice shifts from obedience to Guru and Shastra to attraction for Vraj Leela. This does not mean that the devotee does not follow Guru and Shastra. He does. What it does mean is that the dominant cause of his efforts in sadhana are his attraction to Krishna, not his obligation to authorities. The unique quality of a spontaneous devotee is that he worships Krishna exclusively as the son of Nand and Yashoda. As he progresses in his bhajana, meditation on the sound of the holy names will develop to meditating on Krishna's form, then his qualities, and finally his pastimes. In pastime meditation, this devotee will progress from the, what is that word, Prabhu? I don't know.
Mantra-Parshana, I'll explain that.
From to the Surashtiki form.
Yeah.
This former is absorption in one scene or one pastime of Krishna. The latter is absorption in a flowing sequence of pastimes.
Okay, but just pause there. You can continue reading. Any clarifications on this cycle?
Can I just ask a question about
Please.
that?
Yes, please, ma'am.
So, how would you know what your Raganuga Bhakti is from this life or from previous life, like what you already developed? Is it any specific, like, any symptoms will be observed then?
Well, there may not be. The actual symptom is a natural attraction. So say someone joins Krishna consciousness and they're immediately attracted, for example, to the Krishna book and to Krishna's pastimes. You know, they may have just joined like 2 months or 3 months or 4 months, and they have a natural attraction to Krishna's Leela. It's just natural there. It's just, so that's to be understood that they've developed at that stage from a previous life. So natural, the word natural is important. It means you have like, it's just natural. You're just naturally attracted to it. So that would be indicative of practice in a previous life. You're just carrying on from there. Is that clear, Mo? Did that help?
Yeah, thank you.
And it's not as if we wasn't practicing in a previous life, then when we read Krishna's pastimes, it's not attractive, but more the emphasis will be, as Maharaj is explaining, will be like, as he's quoting that verse, Tasmat Bharata Shravat Ma, is that we've been told that it's good to hear about Krishna. So therefore we do that. But someone who has a natural attraction, they don't necessarily have to be told. They already do it because the attraction is there. But for others, for us, it might be, oh, you should read Krishna book every night, or you should. Or some devotees will join, and they will automatically, they will find great happiness. Yeah. Is that okay? No. Okay, you can pick up. Everyone can still hear me up there?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Yeah. So you can continue, Anupam. We might as well just continue. Well, we've got 3 minutes left. Let's make the most of 3 minutes. It's very, yeah, we cannot lose a minute. Quick.
Okay. The subsistence of Raganuga Sadhaka's meditation is a subject matter he reads or shares with others. His primary attention is on Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes, and as he begins to covet a certain type of relationship, then his attention becomes more concentrated by following a certain kind of servant, like the cowherd boys, and then a certain cowherd boy like Subala. As the practitioner's Shravana becomes increasingly focused, so too does his spiritual identity. He does not simply see himself as Krishna's servant, but rather he aspires to be a follower of Raj, associate of Krishna, and that intense aspiration sketches his self-conception. For example, by reading books like Govinda Lila Mitra or Vilapa Kusumanjali, a devotee will be attracted to serve Radha Krishna in the way of the Manjaris, and he will hanker to become like them as their follower. The outline of Raganuga Bhajana is summarized by Rupa Goswami in the following verse. The devotee should always think of Krishna within himself and should choose a very dear devotee who is a servitor of Krishna in Vrindavan. One should constantly engage in topics about their servitor and his loving relationship with Krishna, and one should live in Vrindavan. If one is physically unable to go to Vrindavan, he should mentally live there. Both the successful Vaidhi and rather sadhakas will attain bhav. However, in keeping with the principle that devotional practice and perfection correspond, a Vaidhi Bhakta who attains bhav must also attain greed from Vraj Bhakti in order to qualify as a Raganuga Bhava Sadhaka. Such greed will most likely come by associating with an advanced devotee steeped in spontaneous love. Additionally, a Vaidhi Bhav Sadhaka must read the scriptures that nourish and teach the proper sadhana for Raganuga Bhakti. These things cannot be neglected.
Okay, perhaps we'll stop there. So sorry to stop right at this. Very, very exciting. Wonderful. Any final questions or comments? Otherwise,
Prabhu, you said you're going to explain what is mantra Pashana.
yeah, mantra Pashana and Swadasiki. That's, for instance, a devotee say they will be chanting the Maha Mantra, and through their development of meditation, they are meditating on like a fixed frame of Krishna. You know, they're meditating Krishna's lotus feet and his lotus eyes, etc. So that's their meditation. Swadasiki is where it's a flow, where they're meditating on Krishna. For instance, they may be meditated on, say, Krishna lifting Govardhan hill. It's like moving, it's like pastimes. So to put it simply, mantrapasana is meditating on a specific form of Krishna. For instance, they may meditate on a sloka. They may be chanting Hare Krishna, but their smaranam is on a sloka that is describing Krishna's form. But Swadasiki is where they're meditating, for instance, on Krishna, who is coming home in the evening. There's the cows and the dust they can see the dust first. And then they see the cows and hear the flute playing, and Krishna comes to then Nanda Maharaj comes out to greet Krishna, and the gopis are there. That's called Swadasiki. You understand?
Yeah.
Swadasika and Mantrapashana. Yeah. Okay, let's pause there. Let's press the pause button and we'll pick this up next week. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow for our Bhagavad Gita. Those who are coming for that, look forward to that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to press
Thank
the
you,
button.
Prabhu. Hare Bol.